your choice on that. And you can jump in at any time, or I'm going to be doing most of the talking. Rhiannon's going to help moderate. Oh gosh, we've got people joining already. Welcome. Let me share my screen so we can look at something more interesting. Let's see, start of launch page, I guess. The only thing I don't like about Zoom is I can't see all the people. I can see all of you. Hello, everyone, in case you can hear me. Let me know in chat if you can't hear me or can't see the screen, because I can't see what you're seeing. And I'll get started in just a minute. There's still people joining. Let's see. Oh, but I think there was something I was supposed to do with chat before I started the webinar. Yes. Thank you, Rhiannon. I just saw that. I forgot. I have a big note to do that, and I completely forgot this morning. Sorry, you have to watch me going in here if I can remember now where to do it. Let me stop sharing my screen. So
it's within it's within the Zoom itself when you go to the
Oh, that's right. Thank you.
chat, when you open the chat.
Let's see. So I can just select everyone. Got it. Can someone type in chat so we can make sure everyone can see you? Definitely says everyone.
It's yeah, I don't think we have that option yet. If you hit the ellipses, I think it's in the options there within the chat window.
Okay, I tried it again.
Oh,
is that looking better?
Go.
There we go. Much better. This is my first webinar, though. Thank you. Being a host, I've never been a host before. So you'll have to bear with me. Fortunately, all of us this is a very informal webinar, and we're all friends and colleagues. So, and Rhiannon's here to help keep me straight. All right, I guess I'll get going. I have a few comments I want to make before we get started. Let me make sure I'm still sharing my screen. So hello, everyone. I'm Kim Mumbower. I'm a product manager with a cataloging focus here at TLC. And I'm joined by Rhiannon Williams. She's also a cataloging product manager. And also we're joined by Margaret Miles. She's from the New Hanover County Public Library. She has graciously allowed me to get into her authority records and use them for demonstration purposes for today's webinar. So on this webinar, the topic is authority correction workflows. So make sure you're in the right meeting. I don't have a slide deck. We're just going to be using the software. And I'll try to monitor chat as I can. So I wanted to just mention a couple things. We have a Q&A panel available to you, and that's where I'd like you to ask any of your questions through the session. I'll start, I plan to stop about 15 minutes before noon, so noon my time, Eastern, so that there'll be some time to answer questions at the end of the session. Let me stop sharing the screen. You don't need to see the Zoom there. Get back to my launch page. A couple of other comments I wanted to make. I'm using reports. I'm going to show you the report where the heading is reported and then jump into the actual software to make that correction. But I'm not going to go into how to run the authority reports or how to review the data. And I cover that in videos on LS Community Catalogers Corner under the Authority Management folder. You'll see a video here for how to run and use the authority reports and how to review each of the 3 types of authorities in the results as you run the reports. So watch those videos if you're not too sure how I reached the point of having a report. For this today's session, Margaret ran the reports for me so she could highlight a particular heading that she had questions about. So I'm not going to take time. It takes time to run those reports. So remember, look on Cataloger's Corner. In addition, there is a new document that's waiting to get posted onto Cataloger's Corner. The marketing team manages the website. So when I have new content to add, I just place it in a list. And when they have time, and they pull it in and put it into the Catalogers community. But I want to mention it, authority correction best practices. I'll be looking at some of these online databases during this session, and I wanted to let you know that the databases I'll be using plus their links are in this document called Authority Correction Best Practices. It should be posted on the Cataloger's Corner in about within the next couple of weeks. I'll let you know when it becomes available. Okay, let me close some of these windows so I don't take up too much room. Let me take my notes. I think that's it for now. All right, so let's get started. I promised that I would not do any pre-preparation, and I did not. I just merely opened the reports this morning and made sure and found that I could see wherever Margaret highlighted those rows. And so we'll just jump right in. I'm sort of unorganized, but this is informal, I'm hoping. I'm trying to get across the idea that I'm going to be showing you the same kinds of things that you'll be doing in your library when you're working on this. So here's her National Authority Report. Margaret had mentioned that she had some issues there, and I see. So I'm looking at this for the first time, I promise. So these are all happen to be corporate, no variety of authority types here. You can see this quite, so it's my
They're all
assumption.
types, but there
Yep.
is no
No
authority
data.
showing.
And I was sorry to see this. I've seen this occurring in the authority reports I've been running for the test databases that I've been using, the TLC databases that I use for various things, for my videos and things. I talked to a developer about this last year sometime, and he was of the opinion that this is only happening on test databases. And here we have it quite a bit on this your report here. So obviously I have to get back with that developer and say, is there anything we can do? The data is there. You mentioned, Margaret, that you had gone to the link titles and then was able to see the heading that way. The data is there. It's just it didn't get saved to the particular database table that this report is using for authorities. I'm looking at the dates here when of course, that doesn't really help us exactly because this is the date of the authority record, not necessarily, but it is showing a last modified date. So it may have been an early period of time when the developers hadn't finished. Nope, there's some recent ones here. All right, I will have to talk to developers about this. At any rate, this isn't a problem. This is nothing you did. This is just simply, unfortunately, to double check that data, you have to go to the link titles. And one of the simpler ways to do that is using the drill through in LS2 reports. I can't open your LS2 reports right now, but I talk about that in one of my reviewing authority reports. So you can see the link titles.
Drill through was how I discovered that I could get to the records.
You see a count in this report, but to see the actual titles themselves, you have to run the report again in LS2 reports, and then there's a column, and you click on a link that takes you to the list of titles, and you can actually see it. So I need to get with the developer and figure out why can't we populate this table so that the headings all show up like everyone else's headings. So it's a nuisance, I agree.
Kim, we have a question in the chat from Anita.
Okay.
And she's asking, is this spreadsheet the equivalent of going to see your unverified local authorities within LS2 cataloging?
Not in this case. No, this is not. These are not unverified. These are national authorities. This is the report of national authority records, the ones that have already been verified and linked to your title records that contain that heading. So you can only see this particular issue inside this report. You won't see it because it's not a local authority, it's a national authority, Library of Congress for the most part. So that's a different issue. This is a different issue, but it's nothing that Margaret did, nothing that any of her data had. The data is there, it's just not visible in this particular report. So we'll start off the webinar talking about software glitches that we need to deal with. So I will take care of that and let you know, Margaret, when it's going to be fixed and let everybody know.
Thanks.
Because it's annoying because you want to make sure. Now, there are very few problems in the National Authority Report results because they match on the heading in the record. So you don't have to really spend a lot of time looking through all of these. It's a huge list. I think there's usually 300,000 to 400,000 authority records for national. It takes a while to download and look at. All right, moving on. Margaret mentioned another one I'm going to go ahead with this one because it's the local unverified authority results report. And this, I believe Margaret ran this report for all authority types. You can always choose to run it for just one authority type. I think, hang on, I got to get down to the yellow. And I made a note here of the row number. Here we go. Oh boy. I can guess what it's going to be. Let me the second of the major software glitches that I have to talk about. So let me get into cataloging. And I might as well get the worst over with, right? And talk about these first, because we are fixing them. I did temporarily add myself as a user to you, and I'll remove myself when I'm no longer needing to log in. All right, so I'm logged into her Margaret Miles Libraries LS2 cataloging. And thank you again, Margaret, for letting me poke around in here. So let's go to the Authorities tab, where I usually start. And it's a series title entry. I kind of moved fast there, but what I did was I copied the series heading. A series title is the authority type, and I copied that heading here to see what comes up. I did note what immediately caused my attention to say, oh yeah, this is the second problem, is I see the authority control number, and it's actually a Library of Congress authority control number. So that's where I'm guessing if I can find this record, I did not give myself authority to go into your report, so hopefully this will show up. Yes, here. Okay, let's take a look at that title. I always double check a title record when I need context for an authority, which I do in this case. I want to see what's going on. So I'm going to right click, instead of opening it in the same browser tab, I'm going to right click on the word view titles. Well, first of all, I'm going to click on it, and then I'm going to right click. Here is the title. So if I clicked on it, it would open up in the same tab. But if I right click and then I select open link in new tab, it will open up a second browser window. And I tend to do this when I'm doing authority correction. I am going to be explaining my steps as I go to help you all see the workflows. Because I like to keep my authority work over here and my context, my title over here. Everyone works differently. You don't have to do it that way. All right, so it says unverified, but it's telling me that the series title is Empyrean. Is that how you say that title? I'm not familiar with this series. Empyrean. At any rate, it's different, right? The series heading is under the name, personal name, not the series title. Now I can do I have a feeling this is going to be a series title that's in a MARC 800. Let's take a look. Double check that. So I'm now looking at the MARC view. Yeah. This is another glitch which we are planning to fix. I'm working on the requirements right now. Oh boy, I'm sort of airing our problems here, but good to get them over with. So LS2 cataloging was not, let me make my screen bigger so you can see this. Hang on. LS2 cataloging was not designed to handle a series title when it's in a name plus a title data field. MARC allows a number of fields where you enter the personal name and then you enter the series title. LS2 cataloging was initially designed to be a transition to linked data where the names are entered in one field and the series titles are in another field. That's how the data has always been indexed over the decades. But display of the series title, sometimes when it's in an 800, includes that name plus a title. We've been debating about what to do about this for a long time because it did link to an appropriate LC authority record, as we can see, but that is it's assigned a personal name authority. Let me go back to the report. Well, in this case, it's been changed. So it's been changed to a series title. Initially, when you look at it, it will say personal name on the report, and then it will switch after you've saved it once. Probably when it was verified at some point. At any rate, the wrong authority type is assigned. It's assigned personal name authority rather than a personal name plus title authority type. As a result, when I look at this authority, if it'll let me, nope, it will not. But you already have a separate authority record apparently. So I can fix it easily by selecting this. Now it's going to let me do that. Yes. So this is actually solving the problem a little more easily because we can actually, hang on, let me get back out and discard changes. Initially, I can't display it for you. So let me see if I can get back to the authorities tab to show you what it, no, I can't look at the authority. Yes, I can. Yes. So when I'm looking at the series title is the authority type, it's showing the personal name data right here. This is why we're seeing that in the report, because the database is not told to have a personal name plus title authority type. So it was saved as a series title, thinks that is the data that it needs. So it saves that data as the personal name as a series title. It's confusing. Don't worry about it. Just be aware that this can happen. And I'll show you how to get around this. We are fixing this because finally I got the approval from the product managers to go ahead and do the development to add a new authority type, add a new local authority record type that will show a name plus a title. It doesn't, it'll also, we have to modify the editor to be able to display that data so you know that the data is in there as a name plus a title. And when you look at the record, we're going to do something on the editor. This is going to take a while to get this all fixed, but at least we're going to get the authority type assigned correctly first to stop this problem from occurring. I thought I backed out. Let me go back in. Wasn't it Rebecca Yaros when I first looked at it?
I've never seen it as Rebecca Yaros on
You've always
the
seen it as
title
Empyrean?
screen. Yes.
Okay. All right, then we don't need to actually fix this. So what we need to do over here is, I'm not sure what we have to do over here. I might need to investigate this further. This is not, see, you're seeing real life here because I hadn't really figured out how to fix some of these things for you. In the cases that I have seen over the last year, as I've started seeing this happening, I actually delete in my title record, I actually delete that and enter it new. I think we're going to have to do that because it seems to be linked wrong. So let me copy this data to oops, I didn't mean to open my Slack. And oh, well, that was odd. Okay, it's even weirder. Let's see if I can refresh the screen. A couple weird things happening here, which is again, all to the good. Okay, well, it's determined to show this. What I have to do is unlink it. So I'm going to have to delete it, booktube. So let me copy that the way you have it. Okay. So to clear this out completely, what we have to do is break the link. The authority here is linked to this title. Does that make sense? So I have to, in order to get rid of this authority, I have to, and add it as a new series title, I have to delete this heading out of this record. I know it's scary, but hang in there. And then I'll republish. Go back to home, open up my title record again, and I'll add it as a new series. If I had not had, or previously this was a local series title made, and so I can just select it. Hopefully, we'll see what happens. And let me save as draft. Oh, I did not think to add myself to a title space, but got one. Okay, so let's see now if the authority is disconnected. It is, so I can delete that. And let's double check the mark view. And now it's in an 830, which is not ideal. I realize you wanted it to be with a name plus a series title, but the author is already named in the record once. And that's how linked data works. So you only have to name the author once, and then you just name the series title in a separate field. Is that okay, Margaret, that I've moved it now to an 830 field?
That's fine.
Okay. All right, let me republish just to make sure, just in case. And now I can go back to the authority and delete it. And I like to clean up as I go. However, this is an unverified authority, so it could wait. There is a nightly job process that runs that deletes all of the unverified local authorities that are no longer linked to a title. Sometimes I just like to clean up as I go because I'm compulsive that way. So now we've taken care of that heading. So the takeaways for all of you who are listening and watching is it's a little confusing, and I agree. I'm going to have a whole separate webinar on how to correct series titles and uniform title authorities. We're going to go over all of this again in the future. This webinar is recorded, so you can see it that way. I'll probably do a blog post on it as well. And I'm making a video as well. So there'll be several opportunities for you to see exactly what I'm doing. Just be aware that it's a little complicated, more complicated than usual based on the software, which we will be fixing so that you don't see that personal name get moved into that series title heading, as we could see in this report. I think that was the only one on this report, right? Right, Margaret?
It was.
Okay. All righty. So let's move on now to local verified. This is where I spend most of my time when I'm correcting authorities, is in the local verified report. You have to look at every row, essentially. Think of this as a long-term project. You work on it a little bit each day, each week. And when you finish it, however long that takes, you start over, run a new report, and start over. Each time you run the report, you'll have fewer and fewer things to correct. Okay, and I did make a note of where the first row was. So let me jump down here somewhere around. Unfortunately, I'm in Google Sheets and I haven't found a way yet to, let me just page up. Be able to enter a row number. It's taking a little bit. I guess because of the webinar is running, it's slowing it down a bit, but we're almost there. And I should see the yellow here pretty soon. Come on, you're almost there. Here we go. Ah, cookery. Cookery, yep. All of these need fixing, just so you'll know. But let's look at this, talk about this one first. I'll do this one. So Library of Congress changed their authority. I know we're looking at local authorities, but Library of Congress changed their heading cookery to be cooking. And so that was a number of years ago, 2005, 2010, something like that, 2010. Where I remember having to go through all the cookeries in my library.solution 4.x and fix them all. But are you more interested in the duplication or is it the cookery itself?
What bothered me is there's one with a period at the end and one without a period.
Okay.
Sometimes it's a comma, sometimes it's a period, but I see a lot of almost duplications.
That was done. That was early on. That has been fixed recently. Topical subject, cookery English. Yeah, it is kind of a pain. Initially, this has been fixed so that it's not that when it creates a local authority, it ignores what's called the terminal period or comma terminal date. Could be a period, could be a comma, depending on what follows. The authorities do not have this. They call it officially ISBD punctuation. It's punctuation between subfields. Subdivisions. Authorities don't have any punctuation other than what's needed for an abbreviation or a name, usually a parentheses or in a name or a topical subject. So we can combine these into one. This one looks good. Let's take a look. And I'll edit the local authority. And this doesn't have that period as far as I can tell. So that looks pretty good. Let's see how many titles it's linked to. 3. This one does have a period, so we can move all of the titles to it using the Find a Better Heading option. So that's the simplest. If there had been like thousands of titles linked to this authority, I would edit the authority instead. So I pick when the case of 2 or 3 or more authority headings here, authority records, I pick the one that has the most titles to correct, because I know that when I correct and save that change, it will update all of the linked titles. And then I use find a better heading on the others. If that makes any sense, I hope. Hope that made sense. It doesn't matter in this case, so I'm going to look for find a better heading. I'm going to show you a second thing to do too, because we could use that if we wanted to. If you wanted to move them all to Cooking English, we could. I'll just go a little bit longer, but I'm picking the one that has no period, use that heading. And so that should no longer be linked to the title. Because it's verified, I have to delete it manually. Development's waiting to add an option to do batch deletion of verified headings, as well as an automated process. There's 2 different pieces of development. An automated process that could run at night if you wish to turn that on, that will go through verified local authorities that are no longer linked the way it does with unverified. So anyway, I can delete that now. I like to clean up as I go. Now, this one could also be a LC authority. Do you remember you saw that? So that's the next step if you wanted to make it. I typed Cookery English, but this is a C reference in the ITSMARC, or Library of Congress, main authority. So if you're not too sure if you want to keep that local or use ITSMARC, it's your choice entirely. I can look for cooking. I'm kind of going into detail. This first one, I won't go quite as detailed in. And you can see that there's a subject heading available to you, topical subject under LC authorities. There's no harm to leaving it here in verified. It's just if you wanted to try to combine them with maybe other titles that have the same subject, so that way they're in LS2 pack. They click on the subject heading, cooking, English. They'll see all 8 titles all at once, 9 including that, or 12, 11. Hang on, I've already forgotten how many there were. 3? How many were there now? 3. So they're going to have 2 entries for, they click on cooking, English, they're going to get to 8 titles in LS2 pack and not see these other 3. It's a personal choice for you. Do you want me to go ahead and move it, or?
Yes, please.
Okay, alrighty. So. Am I going too slowly for everybody? Yeah. Are you telling me to hurry on? Hurry up. I feel like I should walk through really slowly these workflows at first so that it makes sense to everybody. Okay, that one's gone, so I could delete it. As I said, I'm compulsive this way, so I delete. I find it rewarding. That's my big reward after I've cleaned up something, then I can delete an authority record. And I just love, you can't delete ITSMARC LC, but you can delete your locals. Okay. Moving on, let's try to find the next one. Of course, you have to fix that. Most of these, I believe, are LC authorities. Now, this is not a great example, but let me just briefly talk about development that's in the release that's in early adopter right now, 5.7.5. Development was done to go through all of your local authorities, whether verified or unverified, look for duplicates that exactly match, and take all of those link titles on the duplicate authorities and move them to one of those local authorities, and then delete all of those other unlinked local authorities. So that'll reduce the report in the future after you've upgraded to 5.7.5. You won't see as many entries in the reports, and it'll be a lot easier to clean up authorities at that point. Okay, the next row is, let me scratch through this number. 24,332. That one's on the list, but let's go back up to 24. Oh, that's on the list too. Thank you for picking authority types of slightly different types. This is great, because each authority record for each of the authority types has slightly different data structure. Okay, so I think this is a meeting, but let me copy it. So I can look at the linked titles, but I can also go directly to the online, one of the authority databases to confirm that this is the appropriate type. 6 and 1/2 dozen of another. I'll first bring up the record. That is a meeting name. You have to pick the right authority type to match. And you have to match the report, right? Meeting. So I make sure that you select the right authority type. And this is the one we have on that report. How many titles? Just one title. So let's bring up that record if we need it. It does open a new tab, so you have to kind of keep clearing things out. I guess I went too fast. It's being a little slow here. This webinar is I have an older laptop, so I'm just moving too quickly. Oh, for heaven's sake. Well, I'll just click on it and then I'll just do something else for a minute. And go to the authority database. So I start off usually with this one, which is Library of Congress linked data version, because I don't have to know MARC to understand it. This is a name, right? Meeting name. So I want to look in the name authority file. There is a MARC authority database from Library of Congress and MARC View, for those of you who know MARC. Okay, well, that solves that problem. So this might not be a meeting name. So what I do is I back out and go back to the regular subject heading. Paste it here. Let's take out the dates. So this may be a legitimate local authority. Not finding that either. So let's see if I got my record here. Well, it's an OCLC record. Sometimes that tells me, gives me clues on meeting name 611. It's a fast heading. Ah, okay. Did I miss that? Sometimes I miss things. Remember, I didn't prepare. So you're seeing me at my worst, right? Where I am actually just, roaming around, looking at things. Let's edit the authority. Apparently it lost track of that being a fast authority. So let me go to the FAST database and confirm. And I have a link right here because I use it quite a bit. And we have 2 of them actually here. So it is an event. Yeah. So this is a legitimate heading. Let's go back to your authority here. So it can stay in this heading, but I would change it to show that it's fast. There was a period of time, let me back out for a minute and show the MARC record again. There was a period of time where it was not saving the source as part of the local authority record. So this is probably one that was done when you migrated, perhaps. But when you look at the data, hopefully you can see that down in here. 611 is the field number, and we can see that it's a fast authority. Subfield 2 says fast. So what I recommend is keeping that authority if you want to keep fast. Not all catalogers like to keep subjects from fast authorities. This is a judgment call because you can choose to, yeah, it's lost all of the entries for source here. This must be one of the older records. So that's not very helpful. At any rate, I think it's legitimate to keep it. And what I want to do though is add that as the source. And I just type in the fast is the source code. How do you feel about that, Margaret? Does that seem okay? Or would you sure I get rid of it, or?
We wouldn't ordinarily use fast,
keep those?
but I think it's a valid example of what to do. So
okay, this is one option.
Like
yeah,
yeah.
It has the indexes take a bit to update. Sometimes it takes 30 seconds for the index to update, and then we can see that fast will be showing here in parentheses because it's in the record now, in the local authority record, showing the source of fast. So it should be showing up here. If not, we haven't yet. Another issue. Let me go back to here. And I think that was the same with this one as well. Let's check. I think these are all going to be the same. Let me go back to fast. Or I can actually go back to the record. Unfortunately, I can't see source right here like I would normally. Oh, there we go. Now it seems to have filled in. Thank you. It's slow. So you could,
fast is slow. Got it.
yeah. Any of these sources should, the whole title record. I think it's because I'm recording a video, having a webinar running at the same time on my older laptop. So it's a very, very slow to populate this data. But you can see for right here at a glance. So you could come back to this record. This is another option for you. You can just, if you don't want to keep those fast headings, you could certainly get rid of them. However, I should warn you that you could, yes, you can certainly remove them from the title record. We also have a batch edit for that. You know, are you aware there's a title batch edit? You can delete, you can group titles in a title space and then delete all of the fast subject headings at once. So that's another option. I wish this would update so we could see that it was fast. There we go, finally. I would sort of recommend keeping the authority record for it, because any record you import or download that has that in there, and if you're if you're getting OCLC records, you will have them. Then otherwise it shows up as local unverified again, and you'll have to do something with them, depending on how you have your preferences for authority verification. So you can certainly keep the authority record, even though it's even if you decide to delete it from the heading from the record itself. Yeah. Hopefully that makes sense. I think it's probably going to be the same for all of these Germany applications.
Yeah, I would think it would. So if you want to go on to a different example, why don't you do that?
Got to keep my eye on the time, because I don't want to. Let's see, there was one just down here. This will be a good one to do too. This often happens.
So Kim, while you're there, sorry,
go ahead.
We've got a couple of questions in the Q&A in the chat, but since we're here in the spreadsheet, had a question from Christy wondering, how do you determine while looking at this report which headings might need maintenance?
You want to look at all of them. I covered this a lot in the review, in the video in the Cataloger's Corner, where I talk about reviewing the data to identify problems. But essentially, when you're going through these reports, you're going to have to look at each heading as you go. Now, a lot of it's going to come with experience and practice, but if you have a question about it, there's no harm in leaving these as local authorities, except that, for example, I know there's going to be an LC authority available for this person, especially since she recently passed away. Well, I guess kind of recently. And so there is an impact on search and discovery when someone goes to search for Ruth Bader Ginsburg and they see some records that are linked to one authority, and they might not see all of the same authority. They might not see all the titles, because some titles are linked to a different authority record. Depends on how they search. If they just are searching regularly, but if they'll probably get all of them. But if they click on a subject heading inside the title details and they select the LC authority subject heading to click on, because that's what's in the record, they're only going to see the titles that are linked to that LC authority record, not the ones that are linked to a local authority. Now, in some cases, there is no other authority record available, so you make it a local authority, and it sits here in the report. Did that explain it? You kind of just have to look at each record, each one, and double check and see what's happening with that, see what the title, to see if it looks right. When you get the context from the record, let me show that again too. Although it's not quite true with a personal name, but. So when I first come in here, I think I'm not, let's pretend I'm a inexperienced cataloger, and I'm not too sure if there's a Library of Congress authority record available. I've learned over the years I prefer a LC authority record for a name entry, a personal name especially, because Library of Congress authority records are the catalogers who create them are very thorough in getting birth dates, death dates, titles of nobility, and all of that. So they're really accurate. So I try to pick an LC authority for a name whenever possible. But I don't know if there's an LC authority record at this point. I could jump to an online database, or I could go over here to the ITSMARC tab and see if there is an entry, and there is one. So I know that I don't even have to look at the title record at this point. I can just go, oh, well, I'm just going to move all of these to that other heading, which is probably what I would do first. But if you wanted to look at some of the records, you certainly could from here. But I'll show you this is a good option. I can move all three at once. We can see that, let me just double check how many. There's one there, one there. This is probably done, these are all duplicates. This is sort of another example I was talking about that's going to be fixed in 575, where you only have one row with this name because it's going to see these other two as duplicate and move the heading, the titles that are linked to that heading to this authority record. So they'll all be linked to the same authority. But at any rate, let me show you this option because this helps find a better heading. I linked more than one, so I want to use this button. Let me check the time. Type, paste her name. And here's its mark. That means LC. It's got her birth and death dates, which is good. So I'm going to use this heading. Is that okay, Margaret, now that I've done it?
Yes, now that I moved much better.
Okay. So now I just have to sit here real fast and delete. Depending on your database, sometimes it could take 30 seconds for the indexes to get cleaned up from that one. So if it comes back and says can't delete, it's linked, just go back later and try it again. I've seen some catalogers where they just go through their entire report and then they go back and delete everything. I just like to delete as I go because I like that little reward. I think you just have to kind of, some things like this uniform title, I'm pretty sure there won't be a Library of Congress authority record for that. So I'm just gonna, I would probably leave it alone. It's just, it's a judgment call. Anything you're not too sure about, here's some duplication that'll get taken care of at some point in 575 after you upgrade. Let me go back down to this another one. Is this another topical subject already? Let's see. I've got 3 minutes, right, before I should stop. So let's go ahead and show this one. Topical subject. Let me, all right. All right, one is fast. These other two, we're not too sure about this one, this top one. The other, I'll look at that title record. So I know that I might want to keep this, even if I get rid of it from the heading from the title record, I may want to keep that authority record for future use. It may come in on another title record for that, especially if you're an OCLC customer. OCLC is very good about adding fast headings. So, and we do have two authority records available. One is for adult and one is for children. This is from the Children's Library of Congress Thesaurus. I haven't talked about that yet. So this is another decision point to make as you're looking at these authority records. Before you move the find a better heading, is it important if these are children's books, do I want to link those children's books to that children's thesaurus, that Library of Congress children's thesaurus, instead of the any, I call it any, it's any age Library of Congress subject heading. Hope that made sense. Let me view the title here. I didn't show you a shortcut, which I might use in this case. If I can remember how to do it now, except my copy link address. And previously, I was right-clicking and clicking Open Link in New Tab. I can also copy the link address. I right-clicked and selected Copy Link, and all I do is paste it up here in this address bar. Isn't that saves a time? Saves me a little time. You end up in the same place. Hopefully, I was hoping this might be a little faster to upload. Okay, well, this is a DVD, so it doesn't look to be children's level. I can either look in the mark view or I can slide down here real fast to the audience characteristic. It's any age. So I know that back here on the authorities, this is also looks any age or adult level, not children's. This one could go to the LC authority. Is that okay to move it, Margaret?
Please.
All righty.
Yes, that's fine.
All righty. Let's take a quick look at these titles. Sometimes you can tell at a glance. Call of the Wild, probably any age. Now, this is a question for you. Do I want go ahead and keep that authority record? I could move it to this other.
What we would ordinarily do is move everything to the LC.
LC. Okay. I didn't check your preferences settings. Have you set it to automatically verify locally, or is it set to keep unverified? Do you remember?
We prefer keep unverified.
Okay.
There have been uploads over the years that happened with verify automatically, and that's part of why there's so much mess in our local verification file right now, I think.
Yeah, probably when you migrated to 5X, everything was done verified locally because there'd be 100,000 or more to have to review. Then it's a judgment call, and as long as you don't mind seeing this show up in the future as unverified, you can just go through the same process, move it to the LC authority. I'll go ahead and remove it if you feel better about that.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, it'll move it to the LC. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Gold mines. Come on. Then I'll stop after this so we can answer questions. Gold mines and mining. Adult level, not the children's one.
Adult level, yes.
Yeah. Okay, I'll give it another second or two. Just go ahead and delete these. I mean, we are going to do development in the future. It could be 6 months from now, though, where these will be automatically, you can have that process run every night to automatically delete unlinked local verified titles. But as I said, I'm compulsive that way. All right, Rhiannon, how are the questions?
All right, we've got a couple in here I've marked for talking about. Sarah asked earlier, when is 575 coming?
Yeah, it's in early adopter testing. They were going to announce it a few weeks ago, but the early adopters have reported a couple of issues, and developers are currently looking at those issues right now to see if it's related to the customer's database or it's actually part of 575. So as soon as managers feel comfortable that it's not related to 575, they have to fix the customer's database, then they'll probably announce that. So soon, I would keep an eye. There'll be an announcement when it becomes available for everybody. We like to have early adopters test it, and they've caught a number of things. That's why it's been so long and coming. So anytime now.
All right, we have another question here. This one is from Emily asking, will it be possible in the future to change authority types in authorities management? For example, some of our holdings use Percy Jackson as a personal name subject, and some use topical subject.
Not until we do some development to make that possible. It's a MARC issue. The MARC data is saved, unfortunately. I wish we were linked data. I know you've heard me talk positively about linked data, but at any rate, this is one of the effects of MARC. The authority records have a different data structure depending, like the authority type has a different data structure in the MARC authority record, and that reflects what bibliographic data field contains that authority. So it's possible with development to do that, but it's going to take a good chunk of development. So we're trying to fix some of the really major problems before we reach that point. And I'm going to demonstrate that in the webinar that's coming up on March 8, how to handle that. You have to actually change it inside the title record. Add a new entry, add a new field for the appropriate authority type, and then delete the authority type that's not correct for that authority. Because right now, the bibliographic data field and the authority records are based on the authority type. I got that on my to-do list but we're trying to get change format done, trying to get improved. Its MARC authority search results improved. There's a lot of things that are really high priority for daily work. So I know that's also important. Make it a little simpler, but hang in there. It'll come.
Yeah. We have another question here from Nikeli. They said that you mentioned that when you have a lot of titles linked to a local verified authority, that you might edit the authority itself instead of find a better heading. Can you explain why you would do that?
Because when you save that authority record, it will automatically update the headings in the link title records. And then those title records will get pushed into LS2PAC to update the view there. Let me go back to the local authority and I can walk through that process. Let's see. Let me get down to this. Well, this isn't the greatest example, but
Kim, would one
yeah.
example be all of our local authorities that just say New Hanover County?
Yes, that they would. I haven't gotten to that row yet. It's further down, isn't it? Let me go. Let's see. That was a corporate name, wasn't it?
Some of them are, some of them are geographic.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Is there anything weird? I could take the period out of here. Do you want to keep North Carolina room on this heading here, or?
Actually, we don't, because
Okay.
we've changed the name of the room, and we are now calling it local history. So that is something that we would want to change
so we could fix
anywhere
that.
it appears.
All right, so let's go in it. So what you can do is I'm on the authority, right? I'm on in authorities, verified. This one happens to be a local verified authority. And I'm going to select edit. So I'm actually looking at the authority record that's linked to all those titles. And we want to change it to be, tell me again the name of it, Margaret.
Local history collection.
Okay. As a department?
Yes.
Okay. Let me just slide over here. That's another thing I want to fix, to have this text wrap so you can actually see what's going on. Okay, that comma is, should normally be a period before this, so I'm going to change that. If it lets me. Now the authority record the authority process might remove that, although it does look a little weird after parentheses, so it's okay this way. Anyway, I've made a change to the authority record. Oh, I didn't show you the before. Well, trust me that it would say North Carolina room. And now when I go to the record after a few moments, it should update and show this instead. So let me click save and verify now. So part of the process automatically goes in all those linked titles and finds it. Let me refresh this page and find it. Of course, I have now. This is so you can see the indexes haven't quite updated, but that's all right because I can look at the titles. Hopefully your database isn't too slow, so we can see that change here. But this is my expectation based on everything I've seen over the many years I've been cataloging authorities. When you edit a local authority and change the heading, it will update the title record automatically. There we go. So now the heading is showing local history collection. It used to say North Carolina room. If we look at the marked view, just to confirm that, here it is again, local history collection. And you can see I took out that comma that was right there. I could have put a period in, but I have a feeling the authority process would remove it, but I can always I'll put that period back just in case it shows up again. So that's you can't do that with its mark authorities. With LC, you have to actually find a better heading. You can't update those Library of Congress authority records. They stand alone, but you can edit any local authority, and any change you make will show up. It'll update the heading in the title record. In some cases, it changes the authority control number if you're moving it to a different heading as well. But in this case, it's going to change that wording. And it's also going out to PAC, putting a copy of the title record to show the updated content. And now we have local showing there as well. Okay, Rhiannon, got time for more? Another question at least.
All right. We have a question here from Amy asking, often after I've edited and published a record, some of my changes are undone and say a period added to the end of the title, or a series that's actually a personal name authority added back after it's been deleted. Why does that happen, and how can I make it stop?
Oh boy. When it's a series title, it's most likely caused by the issue that we haven't cleaned up yet, but we will be cleaning up soon with the if it's in that mark data field, it's a name plus a series title. When you edit that series title, it will not remove that 800 field from the record. It may save it as an 830. It may replace that content of the 800. That's coming up in future development. That's 580. We're working on that now. So when you open the record again, it shows right back up. It's still there. That 800 is still there. You may also have an 830 added to the record as a result from previous versions. So the data is still there. The only way to remove it altogether, so you only see one occurrence of a series title, this is only series titles I'm talking about now, is to actually delete all the series titles out of the record, which I don't recommend, but because it takes time, delete them all out, republish the title, and then go back into the title and add it as a single series title entry. I don't recommend that for a number of reasons, but primarily we're going to be doing development here within I'm hoping this next year to fix it so that any data that's series title data that's in an 800, mark 800 field will actually show up as display as that in the editor, and you can actually make changes to it because it'll be assigned the correct authority type. What was the other one that used a period or so?
Yes,
some of
the periods.
Some of the periods show up because that's part of the ISBD punctuation that is added to the mark record when you save the heading. In most authority records, when you update them, if the data field has subdivisions or additional content after that main term, so say you remove a period from a personal name authority, for example, but it's a topical subject or a personal name subject, so it's followed by multiple subdivisions afterwards. There could be a period or a comma inserted back into the record as part of this, as part of the publish process. And someday we're going to move the punctuation out of the mark record and up into the display level where this will not occur. But for now, we're still using mark as the underlying authority, and the punctuation is whatever's in the record is retained or added.
Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, Amy clarified that this is in the title field specifically. So if that punctuation is in this is in the title field.
A regular title field. Let me think about that. Should be gone. No, it's going to be added at the end of the statement of responsibility. I'd have to see the data to let you know for sure. Feel free to email me if you want. And I can give you a little more specific example. It's in a title field. Let's take a look at a title. Like if there's a period there. Well, it will be added if there's no other subtitle or subdivision, statement responsibility. That title could be reinserted based on when you publish, because that's the ISBD punctuation, where they call it a terminal period. A period is added at the end of every field, every data field in the mark record. Yeah, I agree with you, Catherine. We're still dealing, it's a new software. It takes years to get the software kind of streamlined and working, right? I still catalog in LS2 cataloging because it's faster, because I have all those glossaries. I don't have to maintain spreadsheets. I don't have to look in a spreadsheet to get my genre or my characteristic terms, or I can just search in the glossary. So I can move very quickly now. So I still catalog even though I'm a product manager. Because I do correct records for eBibliophile, which is a data service that TLC offers for electronic resource records. And I catalog in I make corrections in LS2 cataloging first, and then I export them out into the mark data because I'm faster. I do find it faster. I know there's some flaws that we're trying to fix. Development is slow. When I first joined TLC, I couldn't believe how slow development went, but there's only so many people, and there's a lot of priorities, competing priorities. So it just takes time. I wish I could give you a faster answer. All right,
sure.
I guess.
And thank you everyone in the chat and in the Q&A for giving us feedback and asking questions. We really love hearing what functionality you like within LS2 cataloging and some things that you wish could go a little bit smoother and things that are rooms for improvement. So we really appreciate the feedback.
Stop sharing my screen. Next cataloging webinar is March 8th. And I sent out an email this morning. There'll be a blog post coming out next week with the schedule, so you can register if you're interested. And I'll probably have another one of these. Well, I'll be doing more correction authorities over the course of the year, but I love doing this. So I might even be able to sneak in another extra webinar or two because I love talking to authorities. So, alrighty, I'm going to go ahead and stop the webinar. Thank you all very much. Reach out to us if you have any questions.
Thank you, Kim.
And thank you, Margaret. I really appreciate it. I'll touch base with you by email. Make sure you're okay with my using your authority records for the next one too.
Feel
You're
free.
sure you're okay? All righty.
I'm fine.
Thanks a lot. Really
Thank
appreciate
you,
it.
everyone.
Bye. Have a good afternoon.